Yeah, I kinda hate the new Minecraft update, and it's not for the reason you think. So, Microsoft just announced a new Minecraft update that adds new baby mob models to the game. This isn't a new concept. Requests for better models and mods that add them have been a thing almost as long as the baby mobs themselves have been. So it's kind of a no-brainer to add them to the game. Well, add isn't really the right word, more like forcibly replaces the existing baby mob models, wrecking every texture and resource pack that came before over the last 16 years in the process. And as someone who has been working hard and struggling to keep the original programmer art compatible with newer versions of the game, this just torpedoed the entire concept of my pack staying backwards compatible. And yet, that isn't actually what I'm upset with. Don't get me wrong, I am upset about that, but destroying the classic Minecraft art style is nothing new. Hell, Notch himself was sometimes guilty of that, to a much lesser extent. No, my issue and the reason I hate this new update is actually the name tag being craftable. Wait, hear me out, all right? Hear me out. I know this is gonna require some explanation. Going around in Minecraft, just not being worth it. It's not worth exploring. I was on an anarchy server where I needed every little bit of resources I could get. I finally escaped the withers. I hollowed out a nice little hole for myself and managed to save 2 villagers that survived a TNT, bombing run on a village. I've got a whole little, underground bunker area going. Eventually got myself up to some diamond. Nice. And now once I was up to diamond and had just 2 villagers, I noticed that there was a zombie spawner. I didn't even think about this. I placed a torch on the spawner to stop the zombies, went back to mining because there was still that, vein I hadn't gotten yet, and then I packed up and headed back home, and 28 minutes later, I realized, oh, I didn't actually loot that dungeon. It would take me about 10 minutes of walking to get back there. Is there anything in there that I really want? No. Nothing I couldn't just get from my villagers. I'm not interacting with the content in Minecraft because in an anarchy server where I was fearing for my life and needed this done as efficiently as possible, why bother going back? I can just get it from the villager. Then I can keep an eye on him. See, I had already been struggling since version 1.14, the Village and Pillage update, to think of a reason to go out on an adventure in Minecraft. Back in the day, especially on hardcore runs, I would go on what could sometimes be 1,000-block journeys to find a woodland mansion, risking my entire world for the loot inside. Why? Because back then, it was the only way you could get Totems of Undying. An extremely high-risk, high-reward play. The potential of up to just 3 Totems of Undying for conquering what was the most dangerous and imposing structure in the world. Even the dark forest itself leading up to it was a risk. But if I made it out alive, my world would have 3 more chances to survive a mistake. 4 lives is a hell of a lot better than just 1. And it could be more, because once I have the first 3, the next mansion is going to be easier, if I so choose to go on another epic journey. Totems really used to mean something, but now, just build a raid farm. It takes way less time and is far safer. You don't even need to risk your main village. Now that the render distances are much higher than they used to be, and the world is mostly covered in land instead of water in the new generation, and there are even more village types, just look around for 2 seconds. Oh, there's another one. And another. And there's another. And there's another one over there. There's another. And 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 another.
Alright, I get it!
I built the world's largest c***ing balls in hardcore! Inventory filled with Totems of Undying. And this isn't just the woodland mansion being completely obsoleted by raid farms. Finding something as simple as a pyramid or a dungeon used to be a big event in such an empty, aimless world. Because dungeon loot contained items that were really hard to get, if not impossible by other means. These days, though, I tend to walk right past them without a second thought. I'm not really having a desire for much that's in there when I'm already rocking fully enchanted diamond gear by trading sticks and potatoes to the village I found at spawn. Even the enchantment table itself was no big thing. I can just nab a couple of diamonds from a buried treasure map and the obsidian blocks from the billions of ruined nether portals dotting the world. And the lapis to power it? That was once intended to balance how powerful enchantments are and give lapis an actual reason to mine? I traded for that too. Now, these structures do contain some things that I can't easily get from a village. Music discs are in there, but I do tend to just mute the music in-game and pull up a playlist of C418's music to have on in the background, instead of seeking those out. Because there's a lot of songs of his that never made it into the game, and I like listening to the entire soundtrack. Or, my own custom one. They also contain armor trims that are exclusive to certain structures, and exclusive structure loot is actually a great idea, but I really personally don't care that much about trimming my armor when I spend 99% of my time in first person. It's extra bad for me too, because when I do decide to actually bother with trimming my armor, my favorite trims are from strongholds and end cities. Things I'm going to be interacting with anyway, so I might as well pick them up while I'm there. Really, there were only 3 things that made me actually think about stopping for these structures: name tags, saddles, and enchanted golden apples. 2 of those 3 are now craftable. You could always fish up the saddle, but that was way more time-consuming and boring than exploring, and name tags, you just straight up couldn't get those anywhere else back in the day. But now, well, let me put this in perspective. See, getting to the real meat of it, saddles and name tags were some of the last exclusive loot that kept me interested in finding structures. But both of those are craftable now. Quite easily, I might add. Here, let's knock some sugarcane from the river down and nab this single piece of exposed copper ore. And that single piece dropped 15 copper ore, smelted down and turned into nuggets. That's 135 name tags when they used to be exclusive to dungeon loot. We made that many from the stuff laying on the side of the river. Also, while we're on the subject, why is the name tag craftable with paper? It's metallic. You stamp it in an anvil. You don't use like a cartography table or like a book and quill. What? Okay. Although, with that one piece of copper ore giving us 15, it's not like making it a copper bar and a copper nugget was gonna make a big difference. You know what else you can get from the river if you really wanted to? A saddle. It's in the fishing chance, loot pool, but why would I bother with that? I see a cow in the distance that's just begging to be turned into a saddle. But now that I have the saddle, I am reminded of the last thing that is mostly exclusive to dungeon chests. Horse armor. See, there's leather that you can craft, but you can't craft the other 3 for now. We'll see how that goes in the future. But horse armor. For my horse, of course. Now he will be safe on long journeys. Which I am only taking to get more horse armor? The horse is for getting more horse stuff. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? At this point, the enchanted golden apple is all that's left. Which, in a single player game, while I have full protection diamond armor and infinite totems of undying, And even in the nether, I can just trade with piglins for a fire res potion if I'm worried about falling or escaping into lava. In multiplayer for combat, sure, that's worth grabbing. But when I'm leaving everything in the chests that isn't one rare spawn item alone, that's kinda bad, isn't it? There are some new structures we could talk about though. Trial chambers and ancient cities, which are some of my favorite additions. Trial chambers for the fun and ancient cities for the danger. Not so much for the loot though. Obviously, I'll be taking high tier loot while I'm there, but it's not why I'm seeking those out in the first place. Plus, these are underground where I'm inherently going to run into them less. This is more of like an accidental, pleasant surprise than something I seek out by traveling across the overworld. Okay, well, that's not entirely true. I do actually tend to grab myself Swift Sneak while I'm there, but I recognize that that is because of my speed bridging skill issue after not practicing speed bridging for like 8 years now. If I would just actually sit down and relearn the movement, then I wouldn't need it. The Death Compass, if I manage to get enough shards to make it, well, at that point I'm clearly skilled enough or careful enough to not really need it, and the Mace of the Trial Chambers is a thing that exists. I'm not about to go on a whole side tangent about how the mace is actually incredibly impractical and really only exists to have fun, but, you know, that's kind of why these new structures are great to me. Because they're fun, not for the loot that is either pointless or easier to get by other means, and because of that, I don't seek these out, I do them when I happen across them, which unfortunately isn't happening too often due to how little I really need to travel in the first place and the fact that they're both underground. They both do have the right idea of needing to seek out more of them for more rewards. I just don't really need those rewards because of how the game balance currently is. Now, it's still good rewards, I'm still gonna grab them while I'm there, but it's not making me, like, want to travel across vast continents to seek one out. Not when I can get everything that's already in there by easier means. And in terms of actually going through the effort of seeking out the trial chambers for just the fun of it, you know, for that kind of, like, arena-esque, like, almost Quake-like experience in Minecraft, you know what's faster than looking for a trial chamber? Just booting up, like, Quake on Steam or any other arena shooter for that matter. That's kind of the problem with the trial chambers, is if I'm bored and looking for that kind of like combat experience, there are other games that exist outside of Minecraft, and it's a lot faster to boot those than it is to search for a trial chamber. So like I said, I don't hate trial chambers. I love them when I come across them, but they're not giving me a reason to go out and explore. Before I could properly put my thoughts together in the script for this video, I thought I was just getting burnout on my usual way of experiencing old content. So I decided to get out of my comfort zone and do something I had never done before, actually interact with the new content I had been ignoring. So I challenged myself to build something, an automatic sniffer farm using allays. Not because I actually want a super tedious way to get dyes, I can easily get those from other means. No, just because I want to do something new. And after going on a long journey and spending hours scouring oceans looking for sniffer eggs, I realized I was doing it wrong and needed to be in a specific biome. So opening F3 and following warm biomes on the coast, I found my 2 eggs and leaded some allays all the way back, which all ended up despawning while I was dragging them and took the leads with them. And this is back when leads still needed slime balls. Except for one. One somehow stuck around, and despite getting stuck on literally every tree, I managed to duplicate him and set the allays to work. I built a 28-second redstone clock the old-fashioned way to keep them busy. Mainly built the old-fashioned way because I accidentally shift-clicked and crafted all of my copper blocks into cut copper slabs and wanted to do something with them. I gave my sniffers a big pen due to the stupid sniffer memory mechanic in Java Edition, and finally, it was complete. A fully automatic sniffer farm. And as I proudly overlooked the fruits of my labor atop my barn, I told myself, I am never doing this again. This was so tedious and annoying, and for the absolute worst reward I could think of. But hey, at least I can say I did it once, and enjoy the one that I built now. Except the allays are freaking bugged and kept teleporting away, even though the redstone machine I built should keep them occupied. Apparently this is a known issue, and the only way to partially fix it would be to add a dome on top of the farm, since they're flying mobs. But even then, they sometimes still teleport through glass, and leads won't solve this problem because the lead isn't long enough to cover the range of the modest pen size that the sniffers need. At which point I realized that a water dispenser added to a clock could easily sweep the seeds into a collection area before they despawn in 5 minutes. Rendering the allays completely useless. But I guess that's fine, since the whole idea of a sniffer pen is useless to begin with. At least one of my neighbors wanted a couple of the flowers for his build, but not enough that I needed to remake the whole automatic system. And after all the time that I put into that, feeling wasted, I didn't even want to think about the immense disappointment trail ruins and brushing sand for sticks and candles would be. So I decided to go out and get me some pale oak wood and finally see a Creaking in person. I don't really need pale oak or resin in my current build, but hey, who knows, I might need it in the future. And here's how that went. Oh, there's one. Whoa! Ah! You're you're not the Creaking man. No, go away. Oh my god, you hit like a fucking truck. Why do you not have a hitbox in your head? Jesus. There's more of you? Oh my god! What the God, if that's them, what's the Creaking? Oh, you're a Creaking. Oh, there's two of you. Is that it? No, the other monsters are the threat here. Because even if I look away to deal with a zombie, you're gonna like, how much damage are you gonna do? Come on. Come on. I don't even have absorption anymore. 3. Come on, you hit me 3 times, 4 times. There you go. You did half a heart of damage. Jesus Christ. What is the point of you? Go ahead, Creaking. You can keep hitting me. Yeah. You're the big scary threat they hyped up this whole time, huh? Oh boy. Aren't you bossy? You're a fucking kitten. You couldn't hurt me if you tried. Now I better back up, because that guy actually fucking hurts. Hang on, the creeper might actually hurt me. Oh, I guess that's it. I don't think people are mad about this update enough. Yeah, sure, the trees are lazy. But God, what is the Creaking? No, not more of you guys! See that? That little shitlet with the shovel, that thing is scary. Ain't having it. So, the new content outside of Trial Chambers and Ancient Cities is just kind of awful. Not even awful, really. Just like nothing. It feels like nothing. I don't know if this makes any sense, but as I stand here, looking over how alive the Minecraft world is these days, it's never felt more empty to me. The pale gardens, shipwrecks, ruined portals, outposts, villages, and basically every other surface structure that completely fills every bit of this empty space are actively making the world feel less interesting to me. The reason I spent a whole section at the start talking about the Woodland Mansion is because it used to be what I considered a perfect structure. Extremely rare with insanely good rewards you could only get there. In this whole server map that spans over 100,000 blocks at its furthest points, there are only 2 woodland mansions, both of which I discovered by accident. I haven't entered a single one. Because why should I, other than I'm just bored? And if I'm that bored, there's a whole world of other games out there. Speaking of which, I know this is going to be brought up at some point. The insert block game here is better than Minecraft, which isn't exactly a wrong sentiment. Might help with my burnout, but none of them are going to be a complete replacement because, see, I feel like every popular block game excels at like one specific aspect while still having good elements of the rest. An example would be like how Terraria is better at combat and progression, while Starbound is better at exploration and building. It doesn't mean that the exploration sucks in Terraria or that the combat sucks in Starbound. Each just has something they excel at and focus on, while still maintaining aspects of the other elements. Vintage Story certainly excels at survival, which is its main focus, while Minecraft excels at creative expression. But the problem that I have with Minecraft right now is actually pretty big compared to my nitpicks with those other games. I feel like Minecraft is actually leaning way too hard into its safe space building simulator specialty, to the point where it is severely compromising the other aspects of the game, like exploration, combat, and even survival. You know, the way most people play the game. There are parts of Vintage Story where the grind for building sucks, Starbound is no stranger to bad progression, and Terraria's worlds can be really dull at times. But when I can confidently say that modern Minecraft is genuinely bad at progression, combat, exploration, and survival, it's probably a pretty big issue. This is why we've been seeing self-imposed challenges popping off with Minecraft, like, well, beating the entire game with no pickaxe. Except villagers made that trivial too. Okay, that might be a bad example. I don't know, man. Am I just looking at Minecraft wrong, somehow? Or do you guys kind of feel this too? I should probably end it there before I get too ranty and off topic. I might do a follow-up of how I'd attempt to fix these issues, but I want to hear what you guys think. In summary, I hate this update because name tags were one of the last reasons I had to interact with old content. while the new content is not filling the same void. It isn't the name tag thing on its own. That was just the last nail in the coffin for my interest in exploring the Minecraft world. Somehow, the genuinely empty worlds of something like Minecraft Beta seem more interesting than the huge occupied world that I'm currently looking over with so many different biomes and structures. Maybe it's because the new stuff follows set rules and it gets kind of predictive how it's gonna be, and beta terrain can be kind of wild, but I don't think that's just it. Also, am I the only one that thinks that the ability to keep baby mobs young forever is like really creepy? It kind of reminds me of that Facebook post of the family selling their old dog because they got a new puppy that was cuter. I don't know. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me and my weirdly huge problem with such a small change. If you like this kind of video, let me know and I'll do my best to make more content like this. Something more positive, like how we could actually fix the problem, or something just totally unrelated and goofy. Whatever the case, I hope to see you there again, and for now, take care.